Friends, the concept of primary evidence and secondary evidence is enumerated under section 61 to section 66 of Indian Evidence Act. Friends, I suggest you to watch my video on Indian Evidence Act basic structure for understanding the overview of Indian Evidence Act 1872. Here in this chart, I have distinguished primary evidence with secondary evidence. Primary evidence is defined under section 62, whereas the secondary evidence is defined under section 64
Section
of
63.
Indian Evidence Act. Section 61 of Indian Evidence Act says that the contents of the documents can be proved either by primary evidence or by secondary evidence. Section 64 of Indian Evidence Act says that proof of a document shall be by primary evidence. That means a document is to be proved by producing the original itself. This is the best evidence rule as to the documentary evidence. Section 61 says that contents of a document may be proved either by primary evidence or by secondary evidence. Section 65 says that under certain circumstances, secondary evidence may be given to prove the contents of the documents. In this video, I would like to explain the concept of primary evidence and secondary evidence. Section 62 says that primary evidence means the document itself produced for inspection of the court. Here document means the original itself produced for inspection of the court. Then what is the primary evidence? What are the different kinds of primary evidences? When a document is executed in several parts, each part is a primary evidence of the document. When a document is executed in counterparts, each counterpart will be the primary evidence against the parties executing it. The third kind is where a number of documents are all made by one uniform process. It is known as, each document is known as primary evidence according to section 62. Coming to the first one, when a document is executed in several parts, each part is a primary evidence of the document. In a partnership deed, there are several partners. All partners make certain deeds. All the partners keep their respective parts of the partnership deed. If any dispute arises in future, they may come along with that part of the partnership deed in order to get the appropriate legal remedy. Here, the partnership deed is executed in several parts. Those parts are kept with all the partners or each partner. Here, each part of the partnership deed kept by each partner is known as the primary evidence of the document. For another example, in a partition deed, each one of the party to that partition deed may kept as a part as a reference to such execution of partition deed. Here, each part of such partition deed is a primary evidence of the document. Here, the first part is related to the partnership deeds and the partition deeds. All the partners have a part of partnership deed. In partition deed, all the members or all the parties to that partition deed may have a part of the document that is known as primary evidence of that document. Next, the second one is when a document is executed in counterparts, each counter will be the primary evidence against the parties executing it. For example, Mr. A and Mr. B have entered into a contract Mr. A signs one copy, Mr. B signs the another copy, and they exchange the documents with each other. In this case, against Mr. A, the document signed by him is the primary evidence. Against Mr. B, the document signed by him is the primary evidence. This is the case of the second one. When a document is executed in counterparts, each counter will be primary evidence against the parties executing it. The third one is where a number of documents are all made by one uniform process. A number of documents by uniform process. Then such all documents are the primary evidence. For example, the prints, photographs made, all the photographs made with negative, all the prints made in uniform process, the lithographs made from one uniform process, the play cards made by one uniform process. All these, the prints, photographs, lithographs, play cards made at one time by one uniform process are known as primary evidence according to the third form. According to the first form, all the partnership deeds and partition deeds, where the parties to that partnership deed and the parties to that partition deed may execute such partnership deed or partition deed, and they kept a separate part belongs to them. Each part of such document is known as the primary evidence. According to the second kind, the two persons enter into an agreement, then X signs on one copy and Y signs on another copy, then they exchange with each other. Here, these are the counterparts. These counterparts are also used as primary evidence according to the second kind. In the third one, the prints, lithographs, photographs, play cards made at one time by one uniform process are the primary evidence. Friends, coming to the secondary evidence, that is the second category. Evidence means and includes certified copies of public documents. Certified copies of public documents. Next, copies made from the original by mechanical process. Copies made from and after comparison with the original documents. Made from after comparison with the original. The counterparts of the documents. The fifth one, oral account of the contents of the document given by a person who has seen such document. In 5 ways, the secondary evidence is defined under Section 64 of Indian Evidence Act. Coming to the first one, certified copies of public document. Friends, please watch my video on what is public document and what is private document to get knowledge regarding what is public document and what is private document. Please go through my videos on public and private documents. Here, the certified copy of public document is a secondary evidence according to Section 64. The certified copy of a sale deed, the certified copy of a gift deed, the certified copy of a lease deed. These are generally issued by the sub-register office. The sub-registers of the concerned sub-districts or registration districts may issue the certified copies of the public documents. The certified copy of a sale deed, the certified copy of a gift deed, the certified copy of a lease deed. These are the secondary evidence. The second one is copies made from the original by mechanical process. By mechanical process. The copy is made from the original through a Xerox machine. Here, the Xerox copies, the photostat copies of the original document are the second category of secondary evidence. The third one is copies made from and after comparison with the original document. Here, this is the handwritten copies made from the original after due comparison. In certain sub-register offices, the sale deed, once it is being registered, the contents of such sale deed are made by the concerned officers of the sub-register office after due comparison with the contents of the original sale deed. It is also the secondary evidence. The copies made and after comparison with the original document is the secondary evidence. After due comparison, the contents of the primary evidence are made into a new document without any loss, without ignoring even a comma or full stop. Then it becomes, though it is a handwritten copy, it becomes a secondary evidence. It becomes a secondary evidence. The fourth one is counterparts of document. In general, if we pay the subscription, a duplicate subscription receipt may be issued to us. Such duplicate subscription receipt is a counterpart of the document. It is a secondary evidence. For instance, if you pay any subscription, the book comprising of two parts, here one copy is generally kept by the person who received our subscription, and another copy is generally given to us, that is the person who paid the subscription amount. This part is a secondary evidence. This is a secondary evidence. The duplicate subscription receipt is a secondary evidence. The duplicate challan is a secondary evidence. The copy of school transfer certificate retained by a school, generally originally is issued to the student. A copy of the TC, the school transfer certificate, may be retained by a school. It is also a secondary evidence. A copy of transfer certificate retained by a college or university is a secondary evidence. This is the fourth category. Next, the fifth category is the oral account of contents of a document given by a person who has seen such a document. The person who has actually seen such a document may give his evidence as to the contents of such document. It is also known as the secondary evidence. Friends, this is about what is primary evidence and what is the secondary evidence.